Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to this episode of the Science Thing podcast. It's your host, Adam, to tune you back at you guys with another episode. And today, I am sitting down with my friend Jag Randhawa, right? I got that right. Am I
You
right?
got it. Yeah, that's right.
There you go. I was like having these nice exotic last names because it makes me learn how to speak a different language, I feel like.
Oh, yes, you should.
Yes, definitely. Jag, I appreciate you for hopping on.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So I know you're the VP of IT over at CAMICO. So I think this conversation is going to be super interesting. So why don't you like kick it off for the audience? Let us know just a 30-second elevator pitch about yourself, and we'll go from there.
Oh, absolutely. Well, if you want to say 30-second pitch, I would say I'm a left brain heavy geek and a proud geek.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
my background is educational background is doubly computer science and accounting. So
nice.
couldn't get any more left brain heavier as get.
Yes, for sure.
And I do improv comedy for fun to balance it out.
Well, it seems like you've got the creative side down too, if I'm being honest with you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, tell us a little bit more about what is your day-to-day role involved, and like how heavily are you involved in security, and just kind of so people can know a little bit more about like your technical background and things like that.
Sure. I got a team which has a portion of that team is security aspect. Of course, just like every other organization, have the application side, infrastructure side, and the security side. I am not so heavily involved in a day-to-day security aspect of management of the security pieces, but I have the oversight responsibility of security.
Okay. And then what have you noticed to be the most like major challenge that organizations are facing these days, at least in the industry that you're in?
Now, I would say the hackers are getting sophisticated
Mm.
and the tools are getting sophisticated. And if you are watching the news, you'll see like all kinds of organizations are getting hacked.
Yeah.
And that is scary in many ways. And it just speaks to the sophistication of these hackers
For
and
sure.
their ability to exploit any small vulnerability that is out there.
And so, I'm curious, do you even think it's like remotely possible to like look at yourself and go, I'm 100% protected? Is that even a thing?
No, because
Can't.
there's as they say, there's what you know, and there's what you don't know that you don't even know. Right?
That's so dangerous. That's the scariest part.
Right. So even as we all talk about security and the latest patches are released, and those patches are released because somebody came to know about some vulnerability. And then there are vulnerabilities that they themselves don't know that exist.
So, how do you recommend companies, I guess, get as close as they can to 100%?
It is an ongoing evolutionary process, and the learning is a big part of it. Making
Uh-huh.
sure that everybody is staying up to date on what is happening out there, what type of exploits are out there, and making sure that you have done as much as possible to protect yourself to humanly possible. Again, you cannot do everything, but
Yeah.
make yourself, you're aware and you're educating yourself and using the products, tools, partners, the whole ecosystem to secure yourself to the extent you can. I like to kind of go even further. I would recommend have security risk matrix where
Uh,
you analyze every applications, every piece of data that you have and its vulnerabilities, and also evaluate it. What type of protection you need? What will provide you the peace of mind? Again, you cannot secure everything to the extent that it becomes unusable. So these things are the balance, right? So you have to figure out what type of risk exists and what type of security and controls you want to put in place.
so I know you're big on like leadership development. It's kind of where you come in, like, and you shine. Just getting employees to be engaged, getting the whole infrastructure kind of organized and stuff like that. I'm a bit curious with the landscape of cybersecurity. now that you're having to train the regular mind on these things that, like, before it wasn't really that big of a deal. Like before, like I would go to work and like IT was just like a thing. Like, oh yeah, they just come and help me if my computer breaks, right? Now I feel like it's a necessity and a part of like developing your employees, making sure they understand the risks involved in doing their job. What have you seen a shift in the landscape of talent recruiting or leadership development or just overall developing team members now with all these rising risks? Are you noticing like companies taking different approaches to the type of people they choose? Just curious, like what you've seen.
Actually, let's step back even a little bit and think about it, how businesses have changed. It used to be that you were in a type of a business and you use technology to support that business. Today, technology is the business. Take it business. I mean, you think that law has nothing to do with the technology. Well, you'd be wrong. How the latest advances in technology are being used in law practice or medicine. I mean, in the olden days you thought doctor did some things, and today look at how that landscape has changed with technology. So business people who are smart, they're realizing that technology has to be embedded in all aspects of the business. That means people have to be educated on technology on all aspects of technology. Now, it doesn't mean that everybody has to become a programmer, but as a user, just like as you would drive a car to work and you become familiar with some basic functions of the car, stay tuned to knowing that hey, my gas needle is going the other direction, and that means empty tank, and you have to know that and fill up the gas at some point. So these are the basics. We take it for granted on the automobile side, but similar analogies apply to the business side. You have to know the basics of technology to make the best out of it, and security is a piece of it. Now, simple answer to your question. I mean, yes, you can have trainings both for the end users, which are using all the systems, which is the basic training, and then of course advanced training for the IT staff. But it is a mindset. Security is a mindset. When I talked earlier a little bit about risk matrix, that risk matrix cannot come from IT. IT may not even know how the tools that they deployed are being used. So that has to be embedded in the organization. It has to come from the entire organization, and it has to be a top-down approach to making sure that security practices are executed.
Do you think startups should worry about this too? Because I feel like when people start a company, they go, okay, how are we going to market? How are we going to sell? They're not thinking, how are we going to keep nothing that we've built secure? So do you feel like, because back in the day, cybersecurity was for like the big guys, right? Like if you're a big company, you have all this money, you got cybersecurity, like, ooh, like, you got like a CISO, like, oh, you're a successful, you're a big firm. Now there's not like that at all. But I even hear like small business owners who are like, oh, I don't have to worry about that. Do you think that's the case, or do you feel like everyone?
My answer is fairly simple. It's very much like insurance. If you got something to protect, you need to worry about security. If you got nothing to lose, I mean, if you're starting out, your business is no name and no assets, nothing to protect, well, guess what? You don't need to worry about security. If you got something to protect, you need to worry about security. And you have to as a business owner, make that judgment call that when is it that you have something to safeguard and protect? And when is it important enough for you to make sure that is secured and saved? That's when you should worry about security.
Yeah. Do you think, how do you see the world with AI and enhancing technologies like that coming into play with security and like hackers and the way that's evolving?
It's amazing that AI is the hottest buzzword and everybody wants to get on that bandwagon. I hear a lot from a lot of business leaders. But guess what? Hackers are already using it. The sophistications that we are seeing they're coming from a lot of the hackers already using AI tools or the AI powered or sophisticated algorithms to build their own tools. So it is already being used by the bad guys. And now I've seen a lot of tools. We use some tools as well for protecting the organization that has AI-based engines behind it that monitors the patterns, looks at various threats, known, unknown, and trying to identify. So I do see it making a big impact in the security landscape. On the other end, is also we also got the proliferation of devices out there, and how are those devices secure? I think the only way to do it is through AI. You cannot know every device what it's doing at any given point in time. So knowing what that behavior, the expected behavior of that device is, and having that captured and analyzed on an ongoing basis, you can't do it just sitting in front of a computer or having an army of people watching it all the time. So you need help of AI in all those aspects.
Do you think companies? So one thing I've noticed a lot lately is a lot of companies are switching to a hybrid model. Working with like companies like us or vendors or some sorts and tapping into partnerships, um, and getting away from the fully in-house model where like larger companies might usually prefer these, or beforehand used to prefer. But even so, at the large scale, when I say large scale, which is like a couple thousand employees plus, still considered small business, but they're the bigger size of scale. They're also doing more hybrid solutions. Are you of that opinion, or do you think like, and where do you stand on that?
Again, it all depends on can you nurture that talent in-house?
Yeah,
And of course, if you have your own talent, then you can keep it and have it and make sure that they're staying up to speed, up to date with all the latest that is happening in the security space. Then yes, by all means. I think I found a lot more value in the MSPs because that's all they do for a living.
yeah,
They're in the trenches. They know a lot more. They are seeing a lot more things, and they're seeing things beyond your boundary. So some of the learnings that come from that, you can, as we were talking about, but you don't even know that you don't know
uh,
that aspect. They bring in that aspect, that expertise, which is hard on your own. You get limited view, and you get the blinders on, and you're fixated on what's in front of you.
for
And
sure.
as we all know, the priorities are often something else, not security.
Look, it makes sense. Like if you're a business owner or if you're an executive in a business, you're thinking money. Like that's why we're in business to make money. Security is just this like new thing that like now it's like, hello, hi, I'm here. You got to worry about me, and it's very
It's a
expensive.
risk. It's a risk.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Risk is a element of business, but
Sure.
not something that you think as the first thing. First thing, like you said, you think about making money, not
Yes.
managing risks.
No, totally. I agree. So from a employee development perspective and team development perspective, how do you recommend companies to balance streamlining their security and making sure they have the right protocols in place, but also user convenience and making sure it's not too strangling on your end user?
There are two pieces in it. One is the training. Yes, of course, there are many training providers out there now. You can recommend go with some reputed training provider. You can then bifurcate that. Then there's a training for the end user, and then training for more heavy power users or even technical users. Uh, but again go back to risk management, risk matrix, developing those risk matrix and identifying what type of application, what type of data that you have, and how much of safeguards you need to put in place to secure that data, and weigh those risks against some of the inconveniences sometimes are caused by security.
So go ahead.
Did I answer your question, by the way, or?
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, no. I'm just kind of like adapting for the conversation, looking at my notes here. It's good. Um, so in terms of just out of curiosity here, like if a cybersecurity breach does come into play, how do you handle it? Do you have like a specific way you approach remediation or taking care of situations?
I recommend to everybody that make sure that you have somebody on fast dial.
Okay.
Do you have existing relationship with vendors that you have on fast dial? That if that happens, those are the people that you're going to reach out and act fast. Uh, Again, it's just not a matter of if, but rather when. Everybody goes through that, and some are unfortunate that they have to deal with it multiple times. But I recommend to everyone that make sure that you have somebody on a fast dial that you can reach out to help you with the investigation process. Some of the insurance companies are also offering these type of services. If you have insurance, you'll get them engaged and they'll help you with both the legal side as well as the forensic side and the mitigation, ongoing remediation aspect. But make sure that you have those contacts on a fast dial on easy.
So that's literally it, right? Just like make sure somebody like you can call immediately to take care of it for you. So what key steps should they take to minimize damage and like recover from this? So like if somebody gets breached, like they're watching this and like, damn, it's just happened to me. Like, what's the immediate steps would you take to like minimize damage? If it was your environment.
And very first thing is like trying to find out what data has been compromised.
Uh-huh.
And part of that process, you will also try to figure out how do they get in and where else there might be. And, have they left some footprints behind that? Even if you manage to kind of figure the initial aspects out, but you're still vulnerable. These things are not easy. These are detective work.
Yeah.
And all I can tell you is like, make sure that you have the right talented people, the experts who have the proven expertise.
Yeah.
To kind of like, do that.
I guess if the conversation's happening after the fact, it's too late.
Yes, that's right. Correct. Exactly. Yeah. And then you got to do what you got to do. And, there's some legal protocols that you have to follow. There are notifications that you have to go out. There are various regulatory bodies that you have to notify. And of course, whoever is impacted needs to be notified. So there are lots of things that set into motion when you experience something like that.
Yeah. Hopefully nobody that's listening.
Well, yes, that's right. You do your best so that you don't have to be in that space.
Yeah, totally. Jag, thank you so much for hopping on. Where can people find you? Is LinkedIn a good place to check you out? Do you have any other socials?
Absolutely. My name is Jag Randhawa. If you type it, I'll show up at the top, and I have a YouTube channel. I have a book, The Bright Idea Box, and I have a blog. So number of ways to find me.
Nice. Awesome. Well, what's the book about? You want to give it a quick shout out here?
Absolutely. The book is titled The Bright Idea Box. It's about a bottom-up innovation program, how to engage employees in idea generation process.
Oh, interesting. That's actually sounds like a cool conversation to have. If this wasn't cybersecurity related, we'd be talking that.
Yeah. Perhaps next time.
It sounds good. Definitely, Jag. Well, hey, thank you so much for hopping on. And for everybody that's listening, we appreciate you guys. And if you guys like this episode, please remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. All right. Take care.
Thank you.